Welcome back to sunny Cape Town, this time for the fifth round of the MX5 Championship powered by Racing Spirit. My name is Dennis Page. I'm joined by David Christie, and we are back in Cape Town once more for the drivers, the sprint athletes around this incredible circuit to define which one of them is the best in our championship. It's been a long championship so far, and the standings are looking interesting, but more about that later. First, David Christie, what are you most looking forward to today? Because I tell you what, from the action we've seen in the last couple of rounds, today is going to be another spectacular one.
It certainly is. Thanks very much, Ernest. Great to be back again here at Killarney International Raceway. It feels like home away from home for the pair of us. I mean, we spend so much time here. Look, we saw what we had on the opening rounds of this championship. I have a funny feeling they're going to be a little bit more well behaved this time. That's fingers crossed for me. But look, we have had so much awesome racing in this championship, and I feel like all the drivers now starting to go from strength to strength here.
Well, speaking about the championship, let's take a look at those standings and find out exactly what's happening in that championship. You got the Villiers Bester right at the top of said standings, but the gap between the top three, just 4 points, David. And that is indicative of how this championship's been running, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, you look from first to sixth place, that's 45 points. That's really one bad round, one bad afternoon at the office, and anybody could come back into this. But then you look outside of that, even like Scott Sanders, Ryan Pay, or Attila Motsuagaseli down in 12th position as well, even down to Vian Berger in 15th position. They can make some very, very good moves towards the end of this season here.
Yeah, all it takes is one big move, one good day. And speaking of good days, the Villiers Bester with the best day so far, right at the top of the standings, but with only 3 points in hand. And they are the rest of the championship contenders vying for the top spot in the Racing Spirit Championship for 2026. As mentioned, we are back in Cape Town at Killarney Raceway, a track that all these drivers should be familiar with because we started the season off here. But what will be different this time, David? Because these guys now have got a full season behind them, and they've also been a couple of small penalties handed out as well for driver conduct. So I think the guys will be a bit more... do you think they'll be towing the line a bit more today, David?
I want to hope so, but every time I give a prediction, it's always completely proved wrong, Ernest. So yeah, the big news is obviously Devaldo O'Reilly getting a drive-through penalty for licence points. Hein van Niekerk also is on the verge of getting his first drive-through penalty. Of course, this was introduced after the first couple of rounds when we start to see those incidents starting to creep in. I think it's a great idea, and I think the level of racecraft that we've seen since then has been so much better.
Well, while we wait, let's go to the chat, see what's happening over there. I saw Elric Enselen chilling in the chat room. I was wondering what that was all about. He says it's to help him do his breathing exercises before qualifying. Tristan confirms he is racing, and Jesse Cook says, let's go Daniel and Oratile representing TGN. Archon Legion says, let's go. And Andre Carsten says, LOL. I'm not sure what he's laughing at, but I think that was the Enselen move earlier on. But I tell you what, the excitement is real. The chat is buzzing. Heinrich says, go Deville. And shout out to Chris from his techie, says Shadowborn HTF Gaming. So the drivers are ready. Their tech support is ready too. Which one is going to be the fastest mouse in the maze today, David Christie? Because this maze is quite a tricky one. Of course, Killarney Raceway, 5 corners, including those kinks. One of the simplest tracks to learn, but certainly quite technical when called upon to be so. Who will be the fastest? We're going to find out soon enough, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, we certainly are. And of course, you've got a very different challenge coming up this weekend, facing off the track in the reverse direction. We've only got the traditional clockwise layout, and that has been difficult enough for some. I'm just looking at some of the times during the practice as we wait for the qualifying to get underway here. I mean, times are very, very, very close. If I told you that we had almost 10 drivers within half a second, that is how close things are at the course. Of course, it's only practice, so it doesn't really count for much, and we'll see during qualifying what actually happens.
as the saying goes, there's no points for practice, but it certainly is an indication of who slots in where in the pecking order, and that pecking order is about to get defined properly in qualifying. But you're right, David, this weekend is the reverse race at Killarney. So if you are wanting to come through, check it out. You can chat directly to the Racing Spirit guys in the pit lane, and the reverse track layout is really quite a spectacular one, very technical, lots of tightening radius corners, and the drivers are all still learning it, so lots of questions floating around the paddock area. But if you want to have some of those questions answered, feel free to come through to Killarney this weekend and watch some of the racing. Of course, as I mentioned, the Racing Spirit guys and many others will be there to chat to. But for now, it's back to the action here at the Racing Spirit MX5 Championship. And there you have it. Qualifying has just about started.
Yep, here we go. Cars out on the circuit, and we are ready to catch all of the action. We're watching Chris Carson at the moment, so he'll be making his way around. The thing is, as well, is that at this point in time, from your experience in qualifying, it's much and such at the moment. Nobody's really trying to push and get a fast lap at the moment. They're trying to warm the tyres, trying to get a little bit of heat into it. I'm noticing quite a cloudy day, it looks like, here at the virtual Killarney. So I wonder if the track temperature is going to be affected a little bit by that one, as they work the tyres round. And again, you can see them, just moving that tyre carcass from left to right. And what that does is that it creates more friction to the tyres. It bumps up the tyre pressures as well, and it puts the heat down into the carcass of that tyre. It gives them a little bit more grip.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, it's cloudy in Cape Town. Does a turtle move slowly, David Christie? I mean, I've been getting hassles all over the country from the people I've been visiting at various circuits and locations for work, because they're all saying I'm bringing the Cape Town weather with me. But this time, the Cape Town weather has appeared on our screens, and will that make a difference for our competitors as we hop on board now with Chris Carson, someone that's in the fight in the top 5 in the championship, someone that's been playing his pace down quite a bit, but certainly he has got a lot of it. And we saw in the last race, he was right in front fighting for the lead. And as I mentioned, top 5 in the championship at the moment. So Chris Carson's definitely someone to watch, but these times are not indicative of the ultimate times just yet. That will happen in the next couple of minutes. The drivers clearly with a strategy to get their tires into that optimal window, David.
Yeah, we saw Chris Carson actually moving over to the left-hand side there. Obviously decided that he was wanting to wait a little bit more and try and get a little bit more heat into the tyres. Again, it always amazes me the amount of strategy that goes on at this point in the qualifying as well, just purely because you'd think, I've only got 10 minutes, so I want to try and get as many laps as I can in. But for these drivers, quality very much is the order of the day rather than quantity. That was a big moment for De Villiers Best there, and he'll be on the crest of a wave right now, taking 2 wins from that last round out at Aldo Scribante Raceway. I think he's going to be the man to beat tonight.
De Villiers Bester certainly has proven himself to be one of the quicker guys in our championship, and no surprises that I think he's going to be someone to watch today as they all round the bend, and all of a sudden you can see the attitudes of the cars gets a little bit more serious. Time to lock in, get loaded, get those lap times going. And there they go. Chris Carson's across the line, but DeVault O'Reilly gets a 25.4. So far, so good for him. DeVault O'Reilly, 25.4, but Tiaan van Rooyen, 25.1. Now, Tiaan van Rooyen had a fantastic start to the season, if you remember, David Christie, but has still found himself always in the fight in front. Elric Ensslin has left the track and is now on track in 3rd position. Scott Sanders in 4th place, a fan favorite there, with a 25.9, Jason Mitten with a 26, and the rest of the times I think aren't quite evident of what the pace is of these very talented and quick drivers on track at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're about another 2 seconds off of the ultimate pace that we can possibly go here. We're watching Tiaan van Rooyen. He'll definitely be up towards the front end, but the other man to watch here is going to be DeWalt O'Reilly. Now, he, as we said, is going to have a drive-through penalty as part of this this brand new incident point system that was brought in halfway through the season. Well, I'll say halfway, we're literally just past the halfway point now, so it was just a couple of rounds in, as that's very late onto the brakes goes to Walt O'Reilly. But what we'll do actually, Ernest, because you are really the main man to kind of talk us through this track here, let's go on board with DeWalt O'Reilly and take us round Killarney.
Indeed, let's take a lap around a sensational track, our home track, in fact, a firm favorite for many of us. As you go into the braking zone now, you can see it's hard on the brakes and then cut across the track in sort of a V line. You want to get that first apex, run into the mid-track and then come back again, exit nice and wide. Now, the circuit here doesn't have much runoff on that exit of turn 1, but the drivers use what is available. Same goes for turn 2, many different options here, but you can see a late turn in from DeWalt over there. He runs a little bit wide. And then now setting up for the kink. You want to try and get through the kink as straight as possible to line up turn 3, which is a right-hander and a very tricky one at that. You can see him flick the car and he's missed the apex there. So he's run a little bit wide on the exit of 3, but will it affect his time? 24.362 so far. Now, the double apex, 2 corners made into 1. If you get this one perfectly, you're basically turning once with lots and lots of runoff on the exit over there, as you can see. Now it's down to the final corner on the track and all the way, pedal to the metal, flat out as fast as you can go. 188, 189, 193 kilometers an hour before he gets hard on the brakes, runs up the bank, uses that bank, slots it down the hill, and now towards the finish line to complete yet another lap.
And again, with these being Cup cars, the Cup variants of the wildly successful around the world, the Mazda MX5, very little changes that the drivers can actually do. They can do maybe some geometry changes, some slight suspension changes. But again, the whole point of it being that they keep it as stock as they possibly can. As Chris Carson goes fastest with a 1:23.905. Now we're coming down to the real money time, 3.75 minutes left to go here for qualifying here. But again, this is why I genuinely adore the Mazda MX5 Cup, and it's even in its real life guys over in America, some of the best close, most intense racing that you will get ever to see, and it's always just absolute madness. And I think that's kind of been reflected here in the Racing Spirit MX5 Championship.
And off goes one of the cars over there as we go on board now. And Elric Ensland with the fastest sector so far. Can he do something about Chris Carsten's? Not much time left in it. And all the top 10 currently separated by less than a second. 23.9 for Chris Carsten. Elric Ensland with another purple sector. He's currently in 3rd position. Let's see if that little soiree in the chat earlier on is going to benefit him at all. He mentioned he needed a little bit of time to breathe, and let's see if that's going to work. Elric Ensland heading towards the finish line there. Still Chris Carsten, Tiaan van Rooyen in second, but who will take 3rd position? 2.5 minutes to go. Chris Carsten still in pole with a 23.905.
Yeah, but here come the times then. 23.939 for De Villiers Bester, 23.956 for Elric Ensland. We're now looking at what's that, 8 cars within half a second of that pole lap. It can and very likely all will change over the course of the next 2 minutes as well. Remember, 2 races that we've got coming up tonight here, and with them being 25-minute races, you would not believe, I think for spectators, if they just joined us for tonight's race, you think the 25-minute race is just going to be, full throttle for the entirety of the race. But there's so much gamesmanship, there's so much strategy comes into this race as well.
Yeah, there's so much that happens in that 25-minute period, and we see the leads often change over and over again. We see mistakes being made. We see aggressive moves getting made all the way through. And we see, what for sure, lots and lots of close racing, because these cars and drivers are so evenly matched. I mean, look at that. 23.9, 23.9, 23.9, 24.0 for the top 4 so far. So 1/10 of a second in it for the top 4. Or thereabouts. We get on board now with your pole sitter, Chris Carsten, but only by 3/100ths of a second. De Villiers Bester with the purple sector now. He's the man chasing Chris Carsten in front, and De Villiers Bester gets it. And Elric Ensland goes faster still with a 23.7, and the benchmark has been set. Clearly, the track is getting faster, and so are the cars. A 23.7 for Ensland. Can the rest of the field do anything about that?
Oh, this is getting very, very interesting indeed. And of course, we've seen how important it is to get track position here, given the opportunity, overtaking opportunities rather, are at an absolute premium through the course of the race as well. But as you said, I mean, that's now what, 4/10 of a second, and again it's Alaric Ensland. Looks like he's got a bit of a toe from that car in front of him, and this is where he's going to be making all of the moves right now, because it's a double-edged sword. He's obviously the fastest man on track, but it means he's very likely faster than that car in front of him, so he has to back away on the entry into corners and get the better run so he can absolutely get the most out of that slipstream. Fastest in sector 2, Alaric Ensland takes the whole shot down that back stretch, down into the City of Cape Town corner, and I would not be surprised to see that going purple again, but I think he might have just binned that lap with that little move there.
He goes purple on the first 2 sectors, but so far it doesn't even matter, David Christie. Elric Ensland is currently your pole sitter anyways. Across the line he goes. Will it make a difference? 23.7 to beat, and a 23.6767, 1/100th of a second faster goes Elric Ensland. De Villiers Bester still in it with a chance. Chris Carsten is in pit lane at the moment, so it's between De Villiers Bester and Tiaan van Rooyen. What can De Villiers Bester do as the clock spills over and the time has run out?
I don't think he can, because it was actually De Villiers Bester. It was just as I clicked to change the camera onto De Villiers Bester, it was De Villiers Bester who was giving the toe to Alaric Ensland.
He's not gonna like that.
They came over the line just as it hit 0, so I believe De Villiers is not really going to have... I think De Villiers is done.
Nah,
I mean, he's still going round.
He's slowed down. But he's slowed down. His pace is quite slow. Look at that, 0.2 of a second between the top 2. And Elric Ensland has separated himself from this field, David Christie. Could this be the move of the day to put yourself into pole position with the ability to pull a 0.2 of a second lead once the tires get warm? I mean, that's what he's going to need to do to go from 5th in the championship all the way to the top step.
I want to say yes, but remember how his fortune and luck has been in race. He's been devastatingly fast in qualifying, but how many times have we seen him being absolutely nuked from orbit and being sent through by several other cars there? That's the key problem with things. He's very fast, but again, whether he can translate that onto the track.
Well, we've seen it happen over and over. It's like he's wearing red in a bullfight. Somehow he's just able to find that target some of these other drivers, and hopefully his fortunes will change, because with that qualifying, sometimes they say you make your own luck, and by qualifying so far ahead in front of the field, maybe that's just the luck he needs. Let's see what happens as the race unfolds in the next couple of minutes. It's almost go time, people.
Yeah, it certainly is, because the cars are onto the grid, so we've got about 4 minutes that we can chat about the race that's about to unfold. One of the things that has very much impressed me, and again, being an old man in terms of sim racing and esports, fantastic to see at this late stage of the championship still to have over 20 cars in with us. You can see Poncho Mimiger at the back of the back of the field here, but again, just superb to see, because especially when you go to some of the busier communities in terms of like other games, Assetto, Corsa Competizione, iRacing and that, you'll get maybe 3-4 rounds of it, and then suddenly you've got 10 cars left for the rest of the season, because they give up. There's nothing they see they can get, whereas with this, it's a driver development championship, and I just love the fact that we still have so many drivers here representing the country, representing the area, and for a lot of them, representing the Western Cape as well.
Shaw, of course, with Pablo Clark Racing, and has recently been gotten into a Honda, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to her for getting behind the wheel and joining us here tonight to get some of that much needed racecraft in. Morgan Jacobs also from that same development program. Both of them really going leaps and bounds in that program. And you have to commend Pablo Clark Racing and others like them. The guys from PCR are so professional. I was hanging out with them in the weekend. They were running one of the Formula cars in the MSA4 Championship. Claudio Piazzamusa was there as well in Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth. And wow, what an impressive outfit. I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop all the drivers in their stable. But yeah, as you mentioned, this is a driver development program. You've got drivers with limited or no experience, and then you go up against guys like Elric Ensland that have been in this game for almost as long as you, David. So I'm very much looking forward
That's a long time.
That's a long time. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this battle unfolds. We're going to see battles all over the field. We're going to see battles up and down the grid. However, that first corner, Elric Ensland, this is a good view to start the race off with, I think, into the first corner, because I am very keen to see what happens out there in what looks like a very cloudy Cape Town condition.
Well, we've got 2 minutes left, and of course the big news for us today here at Racing Spirit is a very warm welcome to our brand new sponsor to the championship, to ULS Ultimate Linux Solutions, who become one of our title sponsors. And of course, it's so great to see businesses coming on board to give us love, and you know, we want to do our very best to return that love. So we'll do so over the course. We'll tell you more about ULS, what their services offer, and how they can benefit you, especially if you are running a business here in South Africa. But you can check them out in the meantime. Once the halfway point is done, head over to uls.co.za. But we'll talk a little bit more about them in just a little bit. A minute left to go. Ernest, it feels always with this month break between races like it's 2 or 3 months, but I'll be honest, it feels even longer, because I mean, what is it, 3-4 months now since we were here at Killarney?
I tell you what feels long as this countdown. It feels about as long as the time that we've had between races. We've just got 1 minute to go. The warm up is done. The drivers are ready. Qualifying's completed, and it's almost time to go racing. But yeah, there's been a bit of a gap. We've been missing, certainly I've been missing the racing. I've been missing watching racing, missing competing in racing, and we're back at the track on Saturday, and that of course means that it's the Racing Spirit MX5 Championship as well, which is tonight. So very exciting time for all of us in the motorsport world. Lots of motorsport happening all over the country. We see the flags flying over there, but with just 30 seconds to go, David, any final thoughts before the flag drops and the bull stops?
Positively giddy with excitement. You can see from the back of the grid, I mean, this is still a very, very packed grid. It's all eyes on Alaric Ensland, and also with that drive-through penalty that's going to come the way of Dewalt O'Reilly. But the light's about to go on. Take it away, Ernest.
Here we go. Elric Ensland lined up and ready to go in that 333 up front. Right alongside him, the Villiers Best, and a fantastic start by Ensland. A fantastic start by Ensland, and this could separate him from the pack. But watch now as they go into turn one. Will there be any issues? Tiaan van Rooyen slots up into third there. Chris Costens down to fourth. Tiaan van Rooyen up into second place. But will it be for good, though? I think the Villiers Best might have something to say about that as the rest of the field slots into position. No big drama I've spotted so far. We've seen some zigzagging, but nothing major. But surprise, surprise, Elric Ensland has shaken that monkey off his back and rode off into the distance so far by 0.3 of a second. Can he hold that gap for the rest of this race?
Let's say that was a very, very good start for Alaric, but he's coming under real pressure here from Tiaan van Rooyen right now as there's chaos going off in the background. I think that might have been Ryan Payne, Jason Mitten door banging already, and it's been less than half a lap, but that's a bit of a mistake there from Alaric Ensland. You can see the cars again trying to bring the tyres up to temperature, Ernest, slipping and sliding about here. This is where the vulnerability really, really is going to show for Alaric on this first lap here.
Elric did so well to start, but I think he made a mistake in turn two, and that's cost him now as Tiaan van Rooyen gets the run around the outside. They are alongside. Tiaan should get the leader momentarily, and he does. As we go on board with the Villiers Bester, he's got a front row seat to all the action. Late on the brakes for Bester in third position, and there goes Tiaan van Rooyen, but no, Elric Ensland takes the lead back. He goes defensive, takes the lead. A fantastic move there, but he's going to go defensive again because Tiaan van Rooyen once more has the momentum, but I don't think he'll be able to pull that overtake off as once again de Villiers Bester looks on from behind. Dewalt O'Reilly, Chris Costens just further back.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait though, because these two are going to slow each other down. You can see Chris Karsten and Dewald O'Reilly, as you rightly pointed out, coming toe to toe with each other a little bit further down. You've got Dan Kent making his way up to P8 just now. But again, this is just a brilliant start. And what a marked difference here, Ernest, from race 1 of the season, where it was just dodging cars all the way around. But that's another mistake from Alaric Enslin. He went deep into 2. We've seen a very different line, and that actually holds up De Villiers-Bester, and Tiaan van Rooyen slips up into 2nd position.
Yeah, Tiaan van Rooyen had a bit of a teeny tank slapper there as well, which I think cost him. And Alaric Enslin now once again gets about a 3/10 of a second gap. He's lost some momentum on the exit of 3 as we now go on board with Dewald O'Reilly. He's got problems of his own. He's got Chris Karstens right behind him. Chris Karstens having a good look as they make their way down the main straight now towards turn 5.
Oh, this is absolutely brilliant stuff. This is exactly what we thought was going to happen here, because, you know, at this early stage of the race, you think it's going to be about the strategy, you think it's going to be about the gamesmanship, but for the first 5 minutes, it's every man and dog and everything else for themselves right now, and that's exactly what we're seeing. But the thing is as well, they're going to have to watch out, because while Alaric Enslin, Tiaan van Rooyen, De Villiers-Bester and that are fighting, they're actually going to draw Dewald O'Reilly and Chris Karsten up to them as well as we go on to lap number 4 here.
I wonder if that will be the case, because the 3 of them have separated themselves as they once again go side by side through turn 1. And who ends up in front? Alaric Enslin does, but I think Tiaan van Rooyen's got the inside line. Tiaan van Rooyen's now got the inside line for 2, and this could mean an overtake is on the cards as we go on board with Tiaan. Tiaan breaks a little too early, or was it Enslin that braked late? Tiaan's now got the slot down the inside, and can he maintain for turn 3? No, he doesn't. Alaric Enslin with a sensational move. That was a lot more difficult than it looks, folks, with the ability to stay on the outside like that. And as I mentioned, you're talking about pets, and my little analogy I used earlier on which mouse is the fastest in the maze. So far, it's Alaric Enslin in that little MX5 up front.
Yeah, and he's holding up all the pressure right now as we cut to Dan Kent trying to make a move up the inside on Tristan Rosevear. Again, Dan Kent is not a stranger to getting himself into controversy and hot water through some of the incidents. I think he's only on 4 points at the moment, but we'll come back to that in just a second, because it's another move for the lead. Alaric Enslin again round the outside, and again he's hung out to dry. But again, Tiaan van Rooyen actually getting hung out to dry around the outside of that final corner. It's just not working. Ernest, how many times is he going to try that move only to realise that Alaric Enslin knows exactly where he needs to put that car? Because now Tiaan is on the outside there for turn 1. That allows Alaric just to slide the car in. A little bit of contact there, and up the inside goes De Villiers-Bester.
De Villiers-Bester, and this is something that where racecraft comes into play. Do you want to make every single overtake on every single lap on every single corner? No, not necessarily, but at the same time you want to apply pressure to Alaric Enslin, but at the same time you're getting pressure from De Villiers-Bester. So Tiaan van Rooyen in the car is making the best decision that he thinks necessary, but all the while Chris Karstens just minding his own business, running that water down the hill and catching up with the rest of the drivers further up in the field. I think all of this is working out very, very well indeed for Chris Karstens, whose pace not as quick as Enslin, but fast enough to catch up with some traffic, that's for sure.
I have to disagree there, Ernest, because he was actually the fastest man last lap round, 124.7, 0.2 of a second faster than everybody else. As we've got a big move up the inside from De Villiers-Bester onto Tiaan van Rooyen. Rooyen having to go onto the outside yet again losing so much time, and that allows De Villiers-Bester to get into that position. Now, what I have noticed is Tiaan van Rooyen likes the outside line because he gets the whole shot, he gets the run out of that corner. Maybe for him, it's more important that run down to turn 1. Alaric Enslin, the fastest man on track. Move over though, because here comes Chris Karsten as well.
Chris Karsten's fastest man on track. I got to get my eyes checked because I saw different numbers earlier on, but right you are, David Christie. Chris Karsten is your fastest man on track and continues to be in the 77 car over there in 4th position as he makes his way towards that pack, and he is on the hunt, no longer the shrinking violet that we chatted to at the beginning of the season, certainly carving himself a niche and carving himself up into the front pack now, and this is about to become a 4-way battle as Chris Karsten edges ever so closer to Tiaan van Rooyen, who now finds himself in third place. But look at that. With all the talk, with all what's happened so far in the season, Ellerik Enslin is still in the lead and still absorbing all that pressure.
He absolutely is, but also you mentioned about Chris Carson getting drawn back into that fight. He's only half a second off now. I think DeWaldo O'Reilly, there is a world in which he can come back into that as well and possibly bring in Martin Jacobs again. But again, Ellerik Enslin goes defensive, takes that inside line into the final corner, forces De Villiers-Bester to try and go on the outside. Not quite as drastic as Tiaan van Rooyen, but again, 17 minutes to go. We've seen, previous races here, Ernest, they'll fight and bicker for like 5 minutes and then they'll calm down in a nice rhythm. None of that tonight. It is absolute dogfight all the way through for 25 minutes, and I am here for it. De Villiers-Bester, 123.9, the first driver to break the 124s in race pace right now. This is heating up.
Unbelievable. And at the back there, we see Tristan Rosevier and Daniel Kent fighting it out. But the fight in front is what all eyes are on at the moment. We usually have time to hop back and have a look further down the field. We haven't even been able to do that yet, David, because these four are making it so entertaining as they swoop through the kink towards turn 3.
But there is Chris Carson. It's now, as you said, as you rightly pointed out half a lap ago, Chris Carson makes it a 4-way party, and that's going to be very, very wide for DeWaldo O'Reilly. So put the pin in any hope that he can get back into it, because that's now going to drop him the best part of 2 seconds behind this little lead train. And they're all sipping the slipstream. They're all playing with each other right now with that aero, and they are going to be getting faster and faster and faster. Now, oh my goodness me, that was contact between Ellerik Enslin and De Villiers-Bester on the run down to the final corner there. What on earth happened there? And here comes Tiaan van Rooyen trying to sneak up the inside here. More contact between De Villiers-Bester and Tiaan van Rooyen, and I get the feeling the chaos has already just kicked off.
The chaos has just kicked off, similar to what we saw with Connor Weston and Kobus Reiniger just the other day, where 2 cars interlocked wheels and one of them flung up in the GR Cup this weekend in Port Elizabeth. Very similar stuff there as we see third place man Tiaan van Rooyen just missing De Villiers-Bester. And this gives Chris Carstens the ability to come into third, but can he close the door? Is he clear? Door bumper clear? Not the case. Chris Carsten is in third place, but I think Tiaan van Rooyen is going to get that inside line. Yes, he does. Towards turn 3 now. He's got the line for turn 3. Ellerik Enslin getting very much involved in some argy-bargy over there, but able to not get caught up in any of the drama. So far, so good for Ellerik Enslin.
Absolutely. And again, I'm going to have to double down on what I said earlier on. Maybe it's nothing to do with the license points getting brought in here, but the level of racecraft has just gone through the roof over these past couple of races now. We are being treated. We had a highlight package from last round at Aldo Scribante. Unfortunately, we ran out of time to do that here, as we see De Villiers-Bester trying to make a move. Again, contact going down that straightaway. This is just crazy stuff, but we had a 3-minute highlight package, which is the longest one we've ever done, just because the racing has been so intense. I've got the feeling it's going to be just as much for next round.
I think you might have to put together a 25-minute highlights package for this one, David Christie, because this is sensational as they make their way now to turn 1 once more. And these guys have clearly been practicing this circuit, practicing racecraft. It's the closest racing I've seen in a long time. Chris Carsten in third place now, and it's so difficult to just get a position back. We saw Chris Carsten slotting into third place after the chase from earlier on, but now Tiaan van Rooyen gets ahead momentarily. Can he take it back? Just as I say so, Tiaan van Rooyen proves me wrong and snatches third place back, and deservedly so, from Chris Carsten.
Yeah, I've no idea how that all transpired going into two for Chris Carsten. What I find really interesting though is, given that we've got 15 minutes left, I think we're going to have tyre issues coming into this as well, because these drivers are absolutely sending these cars right now, and the tyres are going to be worked to a degree that they're not really used to, and that's going to make the cars slippy and slidey, and it's ultimately going to make them a lot slower here. But again, we're going down this back stretch here and almost bump drafting from De Villiers-Bester onto the back of Ellerik Enslin as Tiaan van Rooyen tries to go right round the outside. I mean, that's a bold move. I think he might have done it actually.
Definitely has done it. Tiaan van Rooyen in second place. De Villiers Beste in third. Chris Carstens back to fourth. Elric Ensler now under threat. Look at that. Elric Ensler and Tiaan van Rooyen side by side. Tiaan van Rooyen in front around the outside, but Elric Ensler has figured out that if you block that inside line and able to get back towards turn 2 on the inside, he's going to have to be clear, bumper clear. No, he's not. And this is what Tiaan van Rooyen has been looking for. This is the moment right here. If he can stay tight, stay inside, there's a lot more grip on the inside on the real track. But I think on this version of the sim, there's a lot of grip on the outside at turn 2, which is not normally the case. So Elric Ensler knows that, and he's exploited it for his own benefit.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is it shows just how stable the setups are on these cars. You really can abuse the geometry of the cars here, because they just take all of that punishment, they take all of that you give it and give you that level of confidence, and that's what makes you a fast driver. You'll know this, Ernest. You know, if you've got a car underneath you that makes you believe that you're an absolute superstar, you start pushing that a little bit harder, you start maybe braking a little bit later or taking a little bit more speed into these corners, and that's a mistake there for Tiaan van Rooyen. Again, overcooks it on the brakes, tries to go around the outside, does manage to do a little bit of disaster recovery. In fact, look at the speed again that he gets on the outside of that corner. He's going to take second place back here.
And that's exactly it. I think these guys have figured out how to run the outside of the corner, and if you do, it's a huge advantage. It's not the obvious advantage, but we're at the stage where obvious is not good enough, and Elric Ensler in the 333 over there certainly realizes that, and you can see that he's made the most of in very interesting situations. Flag to flag so far, and it's been, what, 15 minutes, and Elric Ensler has led this entire race. It's very unusual considering the pressure that he's under, but now all of a sudden the four-way race has become 3 as Tiaan van Rooyen slips into the clutches of Martin Jacobs and Dewald O'Reilly.
Yeah, this is now a 3-car fight for the lead. Tiaan van Rooyen, possibly as a result of that the mistake on the exit of turn 1, he now gets stuck into the fight with Martin Jacobs and Dewald O'Reilly. He's not going to like that. He's actually going to, I think, try and push Martin Jacobs up to catch them. In fact, no, he not, just goes straight past them like they're not there. But again, back to the leaders. Here comes Chris Carson, tries to move to the outside of De Villiers Bester here. My goodness me, I mean, 10 minutes. I'm already starting to panic now that we've only done 15 minutes of this. I don't know how we're going to be expected to cope with this, as we've got side by side again with Tiaan van Rooyen and Martin Jacobs.
The question is, when will either of these guys make the big move? They've made conservative moves now. They've been playing pretty nicely with one another, as we see Elric Ensler just doing what he does. They're forcing De Villiers Beste wide, and that allows Chris Carstens to go up in second place. It's the highest he's ever been so far. Chris Carstens in second place, and De Villiers Beste is careening off the circuit there. Those concrete slabs will get you, and luckily this time they have not. So Chris Carstens in second place, De Villiers Beste in third position, but it's not over yet. And could this be the moment where Ensler gets away? We look back now on Tiaan van Rooyen, Martin Jacobs, as those three battle it out for fourth place honours.
And again, like you mentioned earlier, we do have to apologise to our audience at home who want to see the rest of the race. But I mean, how are we supposed to take away any attention from what's going on here? We'll cut away briefly, and we'll try and cover the rest of the field. In fact, no, there we go. There's Chris Carson moving to the outside. Chris Carson heard that and he's like, "Nope, I want my 5 minutes in the sunshine on the TV," and that's exactly what he's done. As again, Alex sends it in, just breaks exactly and puts that car where it needs to be. But I think Carson might have the exit of this corner.
His car placement is so good, Elric Ensler, but will it be good enough? Chris Carstens now having another look and see, and they're not, as I said, not playing the patient game, and maybe that's what's needed. Maybe a little bit of pressure from behind is what's needed, a little bit of bumping down the main straight, a little bit of bump drafting. But look at that, tries to go for the cutback. Carstens tries to go for the cutback, and it might work. If Carsten can run that outside line, he might find himself in a bit of good fortune here. But Elric Ensler, I think Elric Ensler has studied every single inch of this track, David, and he knows exactly where to place the car. I think Ensler's car placement in this race is exemplary.
Yeah, but I think he's shown his hand too early because now everybody knows what he's going to do. He gets the inside line, tries to force the car on the outside out to dry. But the problem is now Chris Carson sees what Tiaan van Rooyen was doing. Go late onto the outside of the corner, pull the car in and just hammer that throttle down and go for it. The problem being when these tyres start to give out, you're not going to be able to do that. And I think we're now going to start to see some wild lunges going in as there we go, 8 minutes, 20 seconds left to go. Chris Carson moves to the left-hand side, and here comes de Villiers Bester as well as Tiaan van Rooyen, who's now just a second behind. This 3-car fight for the lead, but it's all sorts of shapes there for Chris Carson. Tries to pull the car back again. This might be different though, because he jumps in, wipes the nose straight off of de Villiers Bester, who is now alongside. But again, this is all Alaric has to do. He's having fun at this point. Stick it to the inside, draw them out as wide as they possibly can, because they can't get to the apex.
Yeah, you were talking about wiping. He wiped the front and the back of that car at the same time with both those cars in front behind him. That was an incredible move, a bit risky from Chris Carstens there, especially at this stage. But I think risk is about to get thrown out the window. Caution is about to get thrown out the window as we go now to the 7-minute and 30-second mark, with just 7.5 minutes left of this race. A bit of a twitch there from Chris Carstens. It doesn't seem to have slowed him down too much, as Alaric Ensslin still on the defensive with just 7 minutes to go. And if you look further back, you can now start to see another car coming to the mix, and lo and behold, it's Tiaan van Rooyen.
Yeah, he is definitely wanting to make a move here. My eyes are on Chris Carson right now because I get the feeling he is getting more and more impatient. I get the feeling this is going to be a lunge. Oh, and this is a different addition as well, as we have got some lap traffic. That is going to be the 20th place car of Poncho that is round there. As round the outside again, very brave move from Chris Carson. But you know what? He's not over-rotated that car now. This is going to be an absolute dogfight. He's going to try and push in. Here we go. This could be it for Chris Carson. Gets it in, but again, it's not enough to dethrone Alaric Ensslin.
Alaric Ensslin running not nitrous oxide there or something. They go 3 wide now with the back marker up ahead. 3 wide with a back marker up ahead. Alaric Ensslin down the inside. He's got the line slots in behind. Does Chris Carstens. De Villiers Bester watches on as the back marker edges ever closer. And as they make their way now to turn 2, when will they come up on this back marker? Will that back marker get out the way? I think they're going to stumble upon them by around the kink, and this is about to get very interesting. The back marker hangs far left, but they're going to get there exactly by the kink. This is going to be fun stuff towards turn 3 as everybody gets choked up behind the car up ahead. And here comes the leaders now. Alaric Ensslin down the inside with a great overtaking attempt so far. Flashing the lights. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. This is about to get spicy. And the back marker lunges to the left without affecting the train too much.
Yeah, very great, good driving there from Poncho. You've got to drive your own race. You cannot just sort of take your foot off the gas and move to one side, as a lot of people think. It's not F1. The blue flag is literally just an advisory, as Chris Carson tried to throw it up the outside, clips the outside curb, and that, for the first time, is a mistake there from Chris Carson. That cost a lot of time there, and that, I believe, also is Tristan Roosevelt in the background, as well as Martin Jacobs trying to get round the back of that lapped car. We've got 5 minutes to go. We're going to need a lie down in a dark room after this first race here, Ernest. But again, how awesome has this racecraft been for the past couple of races?
That was the drive of the season for me so far by Alaric Ensslin, because it's often misunderstood that pressure always comes from the driver behind, but the pressure can also be applied from the driver in front, and that's exactly what we've seen Alaric Ensslin do. He's applied so much pressure to the others for the ability for them wanting to overtake but just not able to execute it, that it's now forced them into the clutches of one another. And now we see de Villiers Bester slot into second place, Chris Carson back in third, Tiaan van Rooyen in fourth, and Alaric Ensslin 1 second ahead in the distance.
That was a big moment there for Chris Carson. We've seen that so often in real life. A little jump onto the curb and it unsettles the car. Here comes Tiaan van Rooyen trying to take that third position. I think Chris Carson decided to let de Villiers Bester take that position just for the moment, because he realised that Alaric Ensslin was starting to get away. That gap was up to 0.9 of a second. De Villiers Bester, I think, in the best possible position right now to try and chase this down. He needs to now knuckle down. They've got 3 minutes back to catch up to Alaric Enslin. I've got no doubt they will, but we now have 2 new names to join our party. We've got Martin Jacobs, who is in 5th position. We've also got DeWalt O'Reilly in 6th as well. I get the feeling we're about to lose Tian Van Rooyen and Chris Carson because they are too busy fighting each other into turn 1 contact, and that is Chris. I think that was Chris Carson to answer for on that one.
Absolutely well spotted. It's almost as if one can spot the body language of the car, that it's like watching someone about to take a swing in slow motion. You can almost see that the driver's about to make an aggressive lunge for it. The other driver's not willing to concede. And there we had the first bit of big contact on the screen that we've seen, other than that moment on the back straight earlier on. Now on board with Alaric Enslin. He's 1 second in hand with just 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes and a second, that's a solid gap that he's laid down there. Chris Carson's now half a second further back, and all of a sudden the spread has taken place between the top 4. Now, does that mean things will get closer near the end? We hope so, but with just 2.5 minutes to go, I'm not so sure. We now go back on board with fan favorite Scott Sanders in the 9th position there, just behind Oretile Motswakasele, as you so rightly pronounced his name, David Christie. I'm always surprised when you get that right, by the way. He's doing
There's
so well.
First time for everything, Ernest.
I think it's the 3rd time now, to be honest. You're doing really well with this.
Sure enough.
But I do think that these two have often popped up on our screens, as well as Ryan Pave, some very good racing, and I'm sure that will be the case here for 9th and 8th position.
Yeah, and it's great now because things have calmed down a little bit up towards the top. We get a little chance to look further down. This is the fight for 13th and 14th position. Sorry, 12th and 13th. Aiton Gation and Jason Mitten in 13th position tries to go wide round the outside while they're fighting it out. We've also got a fight for 5th and 6th position. This is the recovering Tian Van Rooyen against DeWalt O'Reilly. And again, DeWalt, I believe, had that drive-through penalty, but I don't think he's been into the pits, so I'm not sure how that works out. Maybe he's just got to take it through the second race. We'll figure out on that one. And again, we've got the reverse grid coming up for race number 2 that we've got to deal with as well. So yeah, huge stuff. And I think, if I'm not wrong in saying, I think Alaric Enslin might be away with this one now.
That was an incredible drive. In a situation where there was almost no overtaking for 1st and 2nd place, you somehow just got to understand the kind of pressure that he's had to deal with in the last 25 minutes of racing, and managed to maintain under that pressure while still applying pressure of his own to the drivers behind him, making them have to deal with one another while simultaneously dealing with all of them. Alaric Enslin is your man that leads us across what is more than likely the last lap of this race. Martin Jacobs sets the fastest time in 4th place, so the fight's not over further back as we now cut back to the action on the final lap. Who will get 2nd, 3rd and 4th place? This is the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. The gap to Alaric now 0.7 of a second, but that seems to be set in stone, at least for now, bar any big mistakes. 3rd place, however, and 2nd place are not, and we're about to find out who will get those positions in a moment.
Yeah, I think Martin might be a little bit too far back right now, but it's all going to be on the exit of turn 3 and 4 here through the Sorel sweep, and again onto that back stretch here. That's where he's going to have to try and push things right now. But look at Alaric Enslin, actually. That gap coming down to half a second here. Okay, hang on a minute. I didn't have this in the script for the final lap. But again, I think he's got it okay for just now.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second. He's managing the pace. He doesn't have to push. He can just hit his marks conservatively and saving 1 or 2, 3 tenths on a lap maybe without trying to push. But as we make our way towards the finish line, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for what I consider one of the best drives we've seen so far this season. Right up there, Alaric Enslin does what he needs to do, kicks that monkey off his back. No bad luck here today, at least not for Heat 1. Gets 1st place, and across the line goes 2nd and 3rd for De Villiers Bester. Chris Carson only just behind, and Martin Jacobs gets 4th position. Look at that. Are they doing one extra lap, David Christie? Am I missing something here? This is the race overtime.
Yeah, I thought that the race had run out, but it looks like the timer has actually just gone off just as they went over the line, so it's not over yet. So that's our bad. Our timing was showing us that was the final lap there, but obviously this is the white flag right now, so it's all go for Chris Karsten and Martin Jacobs.
It looks like it. Look, we did see the last time that these drivers did drive for longer way after the flag, but this says race overtime. This means it's on. So the Villiers best, Chris Karsten still fighting it out. Martin Jacobs, they're not taking any chances. These guys, even if the race is over, they're still going to keep going. So these three are still fighting it out. Villiers Bester in the lead, but Elric Enslen separates himself, and we'll try that epic finish one more time after this. But for now, let's go back to the race in second and third position. Chris Karsten now finds himself in third place. He's not going to be happy with that. I think it's going to stay much the same towards the finish line as it is now. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try this once again. Elric Enslen, for the drive of his life, flashes his lights this time, and across the line goes Elric Enslen. We wait for official classification. There it is, the race winner. Elric Enslen started. No, he didn't start in 10th. He qualified in pole. The Villiers Bester gets second position. Chris Karstens gets third place. Martin Jacobs in fourth. And Dewald O'Reilly makes up the top 5. What a sterling drive. Elric Enslen, driver of the heat for me by far.
Yeah, that was just an awesome race. Congratulations to everyone on that one, because that was box office stuff. I think that it sets things up very, very nicely for race number 2, which will be coming over in about 6 minutes' time. But Elric Enslen, yeah, like De Villiers Bester, Chris Karsten, Martin Jacobs, any one of those, I think 10 minutes ago could have been in the shout for it. But again, that incident with Tian van Rooyen and Chris Karsten, we saw the frustration was building up between them, and unfortunately that's where it all started to unravel, and that's where Elric Enslen was able to get to a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of daybreak.
Unbelievable. Fantastic stuff. I'm a fan. Elric Enslen has just got himself a new fan now, because that drive was a pressure cooker of note, and somehow he still managed to keep his composure. It's all about the composure when it comes to motorsport, and Elric Enslen has got plenty of that in spades. Mikas goes, sheesh. Race so intense, even chat went quiet, says Andre Carstens. We've got B&E Jams, well done, Elric. And intense racing from Carsten so far, well done, says HTFSW Wofford, something like that. Moy Chris, says JK. Sheesh, man, that was some driving, David Christie. You gotta commend Elric Enslen for that sensational performance. To absorb that kind of pressure. Pressure makes diamonds, clearly.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we just saw on that last race. The thing is, as well, look, I think it's well deserved. We've spoken about the terrible luck that Elric Enslen has had through the course of the season. We've spoken to him post-race a couple of times this season as well. I really enjoy Elric when he's in a championship, because he's not just there as a racer, he's always there if any other drivers need a little bit of like coaching or a little bit of advice, a little bit of assistance, setup help, anything like that. Elric's always usually one of the prime candidates for being there, and that's exactly what we love to see from that. But I also noticed in live chat as well, Winans 9425 wishing that Elric could be their dad. I mean, that's
okay.
I'm sure their own dad feels a bit bad at that one, but yeah, okay, fair enough.
Okay, cool. Somebody get the adoption papers, I suppose. Well, speaking of adopting a good financial thought process is what our sponsors are all about. Caders Asset Management is a fund manager that specializes in fixed income investment. KD's Asset Management was acquired by Spirit Invest in 2018 and has since evolved to be a specialist in fixed income fund managing. Within the group, they manage for both the individual and institutional clients. Check them out at kds.co.za. That's CADIZ.co.za. That is just one of our sponsors we'll be mentioning as the night goes on. But the racing will continue shortly, David Christie, because race 2 is almost upon us. If race 1 is anything to go by, I think we should watch out for any of the top 3. And I think these guys all realize, let's not let Elric out in front.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what we're going to see in race 2. 1.1 seconds was the gap between Alaric Enslin and de Villiers-Bester at the end of that.
At the end, yeah.
At the end of the race, I mean, even down to the likes of 13th position, it was just 25 seconds. That's you know, about a second a lap for that. So again, I think that with the reverse grid, that's what we've got to watch out for, how that all affects where they're going to be and what's going to come out of that. But you were also mentioning some of the sponsors. Of course, the big news tonight is we welcome on a brand new business to the friends here at Racing Spirit Sim Championship. And do you ever notice how some businesses just never seem to have technical difficulties? And more often than not, it's because they've got the right team behind their servers. And that's where our brand new partner, Ultimate Linux Solutions, comes in. They don't do one-size-fits-all hosting. They build custom, high-performance server setups, and they're designed specifically for what a business actually needs. So whether that's expert technical support or whether that's scaling up your existing infrastructure, ULS has a track record of keeping things running fast and staying online. If you're ready to stop worrying about your IT, then look them up. And you can find them, as we said before, online at uls.co.za. And as someone that dabbles quite a lot in virtual servers, setting up Linux servers and in SSH more than I care to mention, finding a reliable partner that you can trust that is cost effective is a huge boon. So hugely grateful for them joining us here, and it's great to see that they are becoming part of the Racing Spirit Sim Racing family.
Yeah, one thing I have to say, this Racing Spirit Sim Racing family and all our associate sponsors are all experts at what they do. And our new sponsor is absolutely no different. Speaking of experts, we are about to cut back to the experts on sim racing. As we saw early on, these drivers are really good at going fast around a racetrack in a race car. So today is what we are about to find out, who will be the fastest of them all. So far, it's been Alaric Enslin. Now we just wait for the grid to sort itself out. And it looks like we are going full reverse grid over here. Alaric Enslin is all the way down. The gloves are about to come off. Or, well, I suppose we're racing, David. The gloves are supposed to be on.
I think they'll come off very shortly. But you're spot on. It's the top 15 reverse. That puts Nusrat Essek on pole position alongside James Carter then. So again, the reverse grid races is a fantastic way for drivers that are not used to being up at the front for whatever reason to give them their time in the sunshine, to get them that exposure and to teach them the racecraft that maybe you don't get in the midfield. Although I would hazard a guess, Ernest, from my experience, to say the mid pack is slightly more rough and tumble than maybe being out at the front.
Oh yeah. We've seen guys like Ryan Pay really execute quite well in these types of situations, because what you can do is try and get away from that dangerous mid-pack and make sure that you stay out of trouble, while the faster guys right at the back of the field have to fight their way through and get delayed and held up. So this is one of those circuits where in these situations it can be quite tricky to overtake. So let's see what happens. We've got 2 minutes or so left before the action starts. And I, for one, am very excited to see how things get shuffled about. The top 10 looks like it does on screen. Scott Sanders in 10th place. De Villiers-Bester right up ahead. De Villiers-Bester is going to be one of the faster guys up there, I think, along with Oretile. Ryan Pay, Mr. Consistency up front, should be good. Chris Carsten finds himself in 6th position. Daniel Kent in 5th. Eaton in 4th place. Jason Mitten, James Carter, and of course, Nusrat in 1st position. So it's going to come down to the start, the first corner, and then into turn 2, I think, before things settle down. But anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. So who knows, David Christie? Who knows? But that's why we're here. We're here to find out.
It really is, and it sounds like such a cliche, and it is a cliche, but we love bringing it out every so often, just because it is absolutely appropriate. We can sit here and we can pretend like we have a crystal ball and we know exactly what's going to go on, but you know, like you guys and girls out there at home, we are just reacting to what we see out there on track, and we use our knowledge, we use our experience to try and put that into context, put it into some sort of a story to make it mean something for you all. But you know, we're doing the same. We're sitting watching, and you know, sometimes we've got our hands over our eyes, and sometimes we've got our hands over our mouth because we can't quite believe what is going on. But 60 seconds left to go in this second race of the day. If the first 25 minutes is anything to go by, get the popcorn out, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself comfortably seated. Get a beverage, be that alcoholic or not. I think you might need something to calm the nerves, because this is about to go down.
I am reeling over here. I'm literally just laughing with my hand on my face because anything is about to pop off. In an ocean of cars, who is the slickest squid in the sea? Let's see. Nusrat Isak in front, James Carter in second place on the left of your screen in the 97 car, Nusrat in the 11 car on the right-hand side of your screen. It is 5 seconds or so to go. The lights are about to go out. Ladies and gentlemen, second heat of the night, Killarney Raceway, round 5 of the Racing Spirit MX5 Championship is underway. Let's go. Into the first corner they go. Nusrat maintaining that lead. James Carter slipping into second, but no, gets blocked by Jason. Jason takes the inside line, and Jason will, hopefully for him, get second place. They touch James Carter and Jason Mitten with a light touch in the back. You see the field. Oh, off the track they go. And that is Jason Mitten off the track into the wall. Nusrat in second place now. Chris Carsten's in the pits. I apologize. Nusrat's still in first place. And that's Jason Mitten that has had a big moment. Just a little bit of oversteer on the exit there. And it's all gone south for him as the battle in front continues between Nusrat and Daniel Kent. But now we are on board with Daniel Kent. Daniel Kent 0.6 of a second behind. James Carter right behind him. And the concertina effect is already in play as more cars move up and down, trying to jostle for position.
Hang on, Tian Van Rooyen up into P4 already. He must have started from P10, and he's already right up at the sharp end of the podium steps already. Tucks to the inside of James Carter. Dan Kent is fancying a go on Nusrat Isak. I get the feeling that it is all going to kick off very, very soon. I mean, we've already had it going a little bit wrong as Dan Kent sends it up the inside. Says thank you very much. Yeah, this is.
Look how bunched up they are.
Oh my
Look
Lord.
at how bunched they are. There's so many of them in your shot. Look at this field over there. Martin Jacobs right in the thick of things with Tristan Rosevier, Scott Sanders, Eaton in the mix as well. Dewald O'Reilly all within 0.0 of a second of each other. Just about into turn 1 they go, and around the outside goes Martin Jacobs, and that's too much. It's bumpy out there, it's slippery out there, and Martin Jacobs loses position after what is one of the wildest moves we've seen of the day so far. Ryan Pay, Mr. Consistency, finds himself in a healthy third position. Further down, Nusrat Isak, your initial starter and leader, is all the way down the field now in 14th position, so that did not go according to plan for Nusrat.
Good Lord, this is just everything we thought it was going to be. But what a start for Oratile, up to P4 already, chasing down Ryan Pay. This could be, I think, is it possibly his second podium, or is it his first podium of the season for Oratile?
But Attila has been one of those names, as I mentioned earlier, that's always in the headlines. He's always in the mix with lots of airtime on the commentary, lots of fans out there, I'm sure. And Attila, no doubt this time, no different. Look at it. 4 abreast they go. Oh my goodness, into the corner. There's 6, 7, 8 of them. All of them jostling for position. Scott Sanders right in the middle of all of this. Scott Sanders in the middle, gets up a position into 6th place, but it's not over yet. Not by a long shot. Elric Ensland up into 7th place. James Carter in 8th place. Dewald O'Reilly in 9th position. Scott Sanders has the inimitable Elric Ensland right behind him. And now the battle is on for 6th position between all of these cars on your screen right now. Look at that.
My goodness, and that's contact. That is Elric Ensland. The luck goes again. You hate to see it. You absolutely
You
hate to see it, but at least he got one race out of it. He got one good race out of it. The thing is,
it's not over yet, Dan.
Exactly.
David, it's not over. Okay,
How often have
that's
you
what
seen
I'm
him
telling
on the
myself.
comeback
Okay,
drive?
that's what I'm telling myself. Elric Ensland, it's not over. It's 21 minutes to go, and Elric Ensland is the comeback kid, isn't he? He has been historically. Can he do the same now? The lightest of touches saw him go off the circuit, but that's the car's fully loaded around that corner, and a light touch is going to cause that, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and the thing is, when you're busy fighting everybody else, you've got no idea what is potentially going to happen. Sometimes you can just lock on the brakes a little bit and panic from something that's happened in front of you, and then suddenly you've looped the car around and you're facing the wrong way. But it didn't look like there was any damage on that car, so that's a good thing. He's significantly faster than the cars around him. I think he is still not one with 20 minutes to go. I know it sounds crazy for this. Still not out of the woods for getting a podium.
No, you can't
out of
count him
this.
out. Yeah, you can't count him out. You just cannot. And I think what will happen is we'll see the guys in front battling it out, fighting it out. But having said that, if anybody's got the pace to go off into the distance, it's Tiaan van Rooyen. He's found himself in pole position in first place at the moment with Daniel Kent and Oretile, Ryan Pay behind him. And the next person that's on that front running pace, other than Daniel Kent, probably is Dewald O'Reilly, Martin Jacobs in 7th and 9th position. So you're looking at someone that is used to fighting in the front with all the fastest guys in this championship, and he's currently alone. But I tell you what, David Kent is not making it easy at the moment.
No, he's really not. Tiaan van Rooyen up to the lead there, but Dan Kent does not want to give that position away. We know Dan's a very, very fast driver here. If you're on Instagram, I've been lucky enough to be followed by Dan. You can catch him on Kent on Track. Again,
is that Kent on Track? I call him David now.
It took me
Kent on Track?
2.5 months to realise that.
He's a photographer, isn't he?
2.5 months it took me to put that little nugget of information together, and then I had exactly the same reaction, like, oh, that's who it is. Yeah.
Well, if you don't know the name, now you do, because Daniel Kent is making Tiaan van Rooyen sweat quite a bit. 0.2 of a second down as we see this three-way battle further back. Dewald O'Reilly in that mix over there with De Villiers Bester in the sandwich in the middle. Martin Jacobs, we've seen Martin Jacobs also always such close racing with Martin Jacobs. And we now cut back to the lead. Daniel Kent getting up close and personal there with first place man, just Tiaan van Rooyen. Daniel going around the outside, just 1/10 of a second back. He's going to take the outside line. Oretile with a full 2.3 seconds further back. I think the smart move would be to just slot into second position and do a 10-minute stint with just behind the driver in front of you without trying to make an overtake, maybe even a little bit of bump drafting if you can, to get away from Oretile. I mean, that's a 2.5 second gap so far, which can quite easily be extended to what looks like 4 or 5 seconds if you look at the cars behind him.
And that is absolutely the smart call on that one. And what do you think the likelihood of that actually happening is?
I don't know. I mean, I'm so interested to see what will happen now. If Dan Kent can just bide his time, stick it out in second position for at least 10 minutes, 8 minutes. Let's say 8 minutes to the final 10. But I tell you what, someone that's not satisfied with their position is these three, Martin Jacobs and Dewald O'Reilly, De Villiers Bester going into turn 5 there, 3 abreast. The 79 car getting out in front of the 222, slotting in behind and touches. Off goes the 15, and that is De Villiers Bester getting shoved off, elbows out. Definitely the old hip and shoulder there got given, and off the track he goes, but still in the mix.
Well, here is the comeback kid, as you titled him earlier on. Elric Ensland is up to P13. He's fighting for 12th just now, late on the brakes into turn 1. And again, signed, sealed, delivered. That one is done. He is up into P12, eyeing up Aiton Gation, who is in 11th position. Fastest man on track, though, is Chris Carson, all the way down in 16th position. He's got an empty track, and he will be absolutely pushing to try and get back into the top 10.
Did Chris Carson have a pit lane start early on? It looked like it. It looked like he was in the pit lane, which is why he might have all that empty space in front of him. But now, someone that's not in the pits with no intention of going there anytime soon, De Villiers Bester in 9th position. It's so awesome to see these guys fighting their way through the field. incredible moments on track at the moment now, because these are all drivers that are used to being, as you always say, in the sharp end of the field, but now find themselves in the mid-pack. And even in the mid-pack, the pace is frenetic, David. There are no slow coaches in this championship.
You're absolutely spot on. I mean, here we go with the best laps that they've done, 124.6 all the way to a 125.1. So again, you know, half a second per lap separating this entire field. But we're watching Scott Sanders onto the back here of Tristan Rosevear. That's bump drafting. That's it. Pure unadulterated bump drafting, and that's clever. You're 6 seconds behind the leader. Use that time to get the positions.
Yeah, use that time to get the positions, put yourself in a fight, and then go for the overtaking maneuver. Now, it's easier said than done, of course, especially close-quarter driving like this. One mistake from either driver could end in tears, but certainly that's probably the smartest thing to do. Now, Daniel Kent, all of a sudden, 1.2 seconds down on Tiaan van Rooyen, and Tiaan van Rooyen might have it all his own way at the moment. So interesting stuff. Of course, we've got to talk about our sponsors. We see Spirit Invest emboldened on the side of that car there. Spirit Invest, one of our many sponsors that have come on board to make things easier for this championship. SpiritInvest.com. They provide leadership consultancy and investment to its underlying portfolio of companies. Check them out, SpiritInvest.com.
Well, talking of investing, I think it's been a poor investment of time for Alaric Enslin, because he's going backwards again now. He was in 12th position and is now dropped back down to 13th and is about 2 seconds behind the car in 12th position. So I think that that is going to go on. Now, Tiaan van Rooyen, what has happened to Dan Kent? Okay, I was trying to figure out what on earth just happened there, but I think it might have just been a little bit of a glitch with the time tower. Tiaan van Rooyen does fastest lap of the race, and I think now Dan Kent really doesn't have much of an answer in terms of pace here.
Tell you what, we'll never forget his name though. Daniel, remember the name Kent in second place by just 1.5 seconds. Retile Motswagosele, someone whose name is quite difficult for me to remember and pronounce, but we're getting there, Retile, and he makes it easier by just being in places where we can see him all the time, currently in third place. Now, look at that bumper cam on the left of your screen. There we see the battle by Scott Sanders as he tries to slot in behind Ryan Pay over there. Ryan Pay staying up ahead. Mr. Consistency, Ryan Pay in fifth place. Another photographer at the circuit, someone we see. No doubt I'll bump into him at the regionals this weekend. And now, speaking of bumping, Scott Sanders with a little bit of a almost nudge there. And around the outside, is that Ryan Pay on Tristan? Or is that, let's see. That's Ryan Pay on, now that's Scott Sanders and Ryan Pay. And now all of a sudden, Martin Jacobs in the mix as well. And here they come now down towards turn one. Around the outside goes, that is Tristan Rosevear and Ryan Pay. Oh my goodness, it's close. It's so close. And round the outside goes Ryan Pay. That's Ryan on Tristan, trying to make a move there. Just behind him is Scott Sanders. And here they come now towards turn two. On the grass he goes. Ryan Pay's got the inside line. Can he take it on Tristan? Look at that. A fantastic move so far. If he can make it stick, just keep it clean, guys. Keep it clean, whatever you do. And look at Scott Sanders. Scott Sanders, the crowd favorite, making his way into the mix. But behind him is a gaggle of geese looking to get involved in this race.
Yeah, the problem with Ryan Pay there and Tristan Rosevear is they're tripping each other up. They're a little bit unsure. Yeah. Tristan jumped onto the brakes. That caused Ryan to have to take defensive action. And now Scott Sanders, as you said, Martin Jacobs, De Villiers Best, they're all licking their lips and rubbing their hands together with glee, because also, have a look, Dewald O'Reilly wants to get into this. This is... I've got a horrible feeling about this, purely because it's all it's going to take is one person making a misjudgment of where the other one's going to go, and it is going to be tears before bedtime. I absolutely guarantee it right now. But Ryan Pay having to bite the nose off of Scott Sanders just now as we come across the line to start another lap. The gap between your race leader and second place, 3.7 seconds. But have a look at Martin Jacobs there as well with Scott Sanders. This is just epic fighting in the midfield here.
Ryan Pay all over the show over here, just slips back on Tristan. Now, here comes Scott Sanders in between the entire bunch of them. 3 abreast, they go towards turn 2. 3 into 2 does not go. But what will happen on this corner over here? Ryan Pay gets back in front of this pack, and Ryan Pay is not going to let this one slide. Martin Jacobs now also getting involved there. Scott Sanders, De Villiers Bester, Ryan Pay in the 31 over there. And down the inside goes Tristan once again into 3. Tristan makes a move down the inside of 3. Ryan knows he's there. They touch it. There goes Ryan Pay off the circuit. Can he hold it though? If he comes on in a bad way, it's going to end in tears. But he manages to rejoin safely and slot into the back of that train.
I have never in my life seen 3 wide round turn 2. That was just epic stuff there. Make no mistake, Ryan Pay will get onto the slipstream into Waldo Riley. He'll be back in this fight, but we have got a 6-car fight right now. Martin Jacobs with Tristan Rosevear, De Villiers Bester, Waldo Riley all in this as well. So this is just epic racing here from Killarney. We've got just over 10 minutes of this left to go here as well, yeah, I'm very much loving what we are seeing here.
Well, the comeback kid, Elric Ensslin, in 12th place at the moment. He's got 7 seconds between him and 10th position as it hearts up in front with Tristan finding himself all in that mix over there. He's just been so involved. Martin Jacobs in 4th place. But I don't think Elric Ensslin is going to be able to catch up much more to the front runners at least. It's still 10 minutes to go. But these guys are so fast. It's not like Swartkops where I think the pace was quite spread. The pace here is quite compact, don't you think, David?
Oh, 100%. It's so nip and tuck. There's literally nothing between these drivers right now. We saw that from the fact that the pace was separated by about half a second over the course of the top 15 right now. That's how close things are at this closing stage of the second race of the night there. A bit optimistic there from Tristan Rosevear. Takes too much curb there. That's going to allow De Villiers Bester to get a run, to get a move here potentially as they go side by side down that back stretch here.
Side by side, indeed. The action continues. De Villiers Bester just separated from Tristan over there. As we go on board with De Villiers Bester, Martin Jacobs just up ahead in the black car, and now they look down the inside. Any hole is a goal, as they say. As Martin Jacobs has to go slightly defensive and looking back now on Tristan and De Villiers Bester. Martin Jacobs a little bit clear at this stage, and the battle seems to be between the two just behind him. But I suspect another dive bomb coming into the braking zone over here, and there it is. There it is, but you can only go as fast as you can go. But look at how they catch up to Martin Jacobs. Does Tristan. Tristan's got some serious pace through that first sector over there, as they're now going to turn 2 for yet another lap of battles. 8 minutes to go. Bit of a nudge there. But still, so far, the two just behind, swapping positions lap after lap. This hasn't settled down at all, David Christie.
It really has not, and we are totally here for it with less than 10 minutes to go in the second race of the evening. And what we are also here for is the comeback kid. Elric Ensslin now into the top 10, 6 seconds behind, basically getting up into P4. That is the best that he could do out of this. It's going to take a lot, but these 5 are fighting very hard. It is not without the realm of possibility that Elric Ensslin can get into the top 5 right now. I mean, it's insane stuff. You would never think of it.
I don't want to commentator curse this here. I don't want to commentators curse this, but this looks like it's like a fuse is lit, man. I feel like a fuse is lit and it's just running down. And it's got 7 minutes to go. And something's about to blow. Martin Jacobs, De Villiers Bester, Tristan have been fighting it out in the most aggressive of ways. Can they maintain this level of composure for the rest of this race? Or will someone get overly aggressive? Only time will tell as the clock counts down. And someone like Elric Ensslin hoping to take any opportunity that he can get. Tiaan van Rooyen off into the distance. Daniel Kent in second place. But this battle right up here in 4th, 5th and 6th position has been raging on and continues to do so.
It certainly has. You can see the daylight now that's been opened up by Tian Van Rooyen. 5 seconds to the good of Dan Kent. That means that Oratile Moswagasele might be in for a chance to actually take that second position. That's going to be a fight that's brewing in the next couple of laps, but we have to keep our eye on this one here. Martin Jacobs holding the entire world on his shoulders from the looks of it. De Villiers Bester, Tristan Rosevear, Dewald O'Reilly, Scott Sanders, Ryan Pate and Alaric Enslin takes another second off of everyone else right now. But here comes De Villiers Bester side by side. It's going to be battling the late breakers into the final corner. I think De Villiers Bester might have just done that. There was a big lock-up, as you said there, from Martin Jacobs.
Martin Jacobs with the lockup, but it hasn't affected him that much though. But around the outside goes De Villiers Bester at the moment, and De Villiers Bester slots into that 4th position over there. Martin Jacobs slots into 5th place now, but he's going down the inside once again. He's got the overlap. Oh, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. He gets given the room back again, takes the position, and now just watch out for the car in 3rd position in this battle. I think he's going to have a slight advantage. That is Tristan. Gets up close, but not close enough, and we go on board with Tristan now. I think that's Dewald O'Reilly that we're on board with at the moment. And the 3 of them now all of a sudden finding themselves in this little tussle over here. Martin Jacobs just behind him, De Villiers Bester, and Tristan in a 6th position just behind that.
This is just bonkers stuff right now. I mean, the pace that the 3 of them have had right now has just been absolutely epic right now. And again, the racecraft, for the most part, we've seen contact, we've seen bumps and bangs, but again,
it's been
compared
good.
to the earlier races, this is just night and day right now.
Yeah, these guys are a bit more aggressive. They're it's a bit more chaotic, but they've still managed to keep it clean so far, and so far so good. And look, another lockup there from your front running man, but it doesn't seem to be making a difference. He's still able to get across, still able to close the door, still able to keep the inside line for the first corner up ahead. And Tristan leads, it's just behind, sorry, I apologize. Martin Jacobs leads off that pack from 4th position backwards, 4th, 5th, and 6th place, just shy of half a second within each other.
This is just a brilliant way to round out the evening right now. And again, this is what we were saying. We thought, oh, they're not going to be able to stay at this tempo. They're not, the tyres are maybe going to burn out by 20 minutes, but that's not been the case. It's just been hell for leather for the entirety of this 25 minutes here. So really enjoying it here. But again, we're seeing all of these little storylines play out as well. We've got the fact that Tristan Rosevear trying to catch on to the back of De Villiers Bester. Bester now dropping Martin Jacobs a little bit here, and the 3 of them actually falling away from Oratile in 3rd position, who isn't able to make the inroads that I thought he might into to Dan Kent. Back to this man here though, Alaric Enslin, 3 seconds behind Ryan Pate, might have to just settle for potentially 9th place.
Yeah, 10th place might be on the cards as well. And speaking of placing, Oratile might get a comfortable 3rd position over there. Martin Jacobs still 3 seconds behind. Just got to keep his cool. Oratile will then get his top 3 position. And Daniel Kent in 2nd place. You got to love a good reverse grid race, man. If it turns out well for some of the drivers, you can really capitalize on all those points. And these guys certainly have done exactly that.
They absolutely have, and it's about taking the opportunities when you're given them. Some drivers can, and some drivers can. I'm firmly in that latter camp here. I crumple like a cheap suit when I'm put under any sort of pressure whatsoever. I've been in plenty of these types of races before where they do the reverse grid, and I just get bumped about like a pinball and sent firmly back to where I belong, which is towards the back of the grid here. But yeah, this is just really sort of given an opportunity for some of the drivers that we've maybe seen struggling in the mid-pack to get a little bit of clean air, a little bit of peace and quiet to go on and do what they do oh so well. But 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this final race of the evening here in the Racing Spirit MX5 Championship, live from the virtual Killarney. And Ernest Page, along with myself, David Christie, bringing you all of the action. We have been spoiled tonight. It's been an absolute treat to be part of this tonight here, Ernest.
That's been incredible. And speaking of opportunities, this is what this championship is all about. Oretile coming from a GT background, Gran Turismo background, or GT3 background, I apologize, and he's wanting to go from the virtual world into real world competition, and that's exactly what the championship's about, thanks to our sponsor RDSA Race Driver South Africa. They have been known to coach some world-class drivers all over the world, world-class driver training, specializing in motorsport and high-performance driving with a proven track record. And with the guidance of RDSA, some of the drivers in this championship will be able to get inside information on how to go racing, as well as guidance when they do go racing, and potentially some opportunities. So for someone like Oretile to get that third place tonight will mean a lot to him. So congratulations to him, and hopefully one step closer to getting into real world motorsport. All he has to do now is keep his cool for just a couple more laps.
Certainly does. A little mistake on downshift there. That drops half a second, and I think that secures the third place there for Oretile as we go back to this fight for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th right now. Martin Jacobs outside of that podium position right now, with De Villiers Bester in 5th, Tristan Rosevear in 6th, Devaldo O'Reilly in 7th, Ryan Pay in 8th, Scott Sanders in 9th, and Alaric Enslin rounding out your top 10. But here comes Alaric Enslin with a move around. I'm sorry, what? Like Scott Sanders, the crowd favourite, as you keep saying, wasn't even that was just disrespect on a global level right there. You can't do that to poor Scott.
Not a chance. The crowd will not allow it. Scott Sanders maintains 9th position, but it's not over yet. He's going to go defensive. Alaric Enslin not having it his own way. Every point counts at this stage, so Enslin will want to make sure that he gets as many of those points as possible. His car a little bit battered and bruised there, but he had that big incident in turn 1 earlier on and just not able to do the double and get the second win in race 2. But the fight isn't over yet. With just 11 seconds to go, we're going into overtime any second now, and our classification will be confirmed momentarily. But for now, the fight is still on.
Yeah, it certainly is as they come through the kink, and you get the feeling that might be done and dusted indeed. Alaric Enslin takes the position. Scott Sanders has to eventually succumb to the pressure of Alaric Enslin, but it's all been about this man, Tiaan van Rooyen, coming through the final corner here at City of Cape Town corner. But again, it's whether or not this is actually the last lap. We got caught out in this race 1, but what a performance from Tiaan here, Ernest.
Tiaan van Rooyen in 1st position. What, as you mentioned, what a performance. Took advantage of the opportunities and crosses the line. We're still into overtime now, so still 1 more lap to go. Tiaan van Rooyen just has to keep his cool for 1 more lap. So does Daniel Kent. So does Oretile. The gap now 1 second between Oretile. But this battle is still on between De Villiers Bester, who's just given us the fastest lap of 24.1. De Villiers Bester wants that 4th place from Martin Jacobs. Martin Jacobs is going to have something to say about that for the last lap of this race. And further back, we got Scott Sanders and Alaric Enslin. Alaric Enslin going for it. Scott Sanders not making it easy for your race 1 winner. So Scott Sanders, the fan favorite, the people's champion, some call it. And Scott Sanders not making it easy at all on this, the final lap of race 2 of the Racing Spirit MX5 Championship.
Yep, on the exit of 2, lights up the tyres, then coming through the kink, then it's through the right-hander at 3 before you head into the Sorel sweep, that almost that long double apex right-hander where you just have to guide the car around and be so very brave, and you can see just how much the weight transfer on that car wants to swing the car around. But we have to turn our attention here because the battle for 4th place is already going on. We'll come back to that in a second because here comes Tiaan van Rooyen.
Tiaan van Rooyen gets 1st position. Across the line goes Tiaan van Rooyen. What a performance from him. Separated himself from the pack properly. Here comes 2nd place man. Looks like Daniel Kent going to take it. Daniel Kent gets 2nd place. Behind him is Oretile. Martin Jacobs going to go for 4th place. Will he get it? Yes, he does. Martin Jacobs gets 4th position. De Villiers Bester 5th place. Tristan gets 6th. Devaldo O'Reilly, Ryan Pay, Alaric Enslin with a solid 9th position. He manages to snatch 9th place from fan favorite Scott Sanders. What a race from all drivers involved. We said there would be some big bangs and scratches, but they kept it clean till the end, David.
Yeah, they certainly did, and I think they can all hold their head up very, very high. Dan Kent has had a rough season, it's safe to say. He's had a very, very rigorous attitude when it comes to battling, and it saw him into some scrapes. So I think very well deserved to see him onto the podium, but onto the podium for Oratile as well. I mean, you've got to say that. I mean, coming from that background of sim racing, wanting to break into the real world as well. Yeah, that is a sterling performance, helped out obviously by that reverse grid. But then we have to talk about the man himself, Tiaan van Rooyen, coming back, doing exactly the same thing there on that reverse grid, coming from what must have been about 10th position to take the race win. That was just brilliant stuff.
Some people are able to capitalize and others aren't, and Tiaan van Rooyen was one of those people that was able to make the most of what was not the best situation for him. I mean, in reverse grid is the suboptimal situation, and Tiaan van Rooyen turned that to his advantage and he made the best of it where others faltered. Tiaan van Rooyen took flight.
Yeah, that was just a brilliant race tonight. I think, again, really impressed at the driving standards. I am a little bit lost for words, Ernst, because I've just looked already. We've got drivers in the waiting room, and Alaric Enslin has now taken like a duck to water to a comment that we made about him. I think it was during the last race. How he would appear in the rear view mirror almost like a plague to other drivers. So he is now Alaric the Plague Enslin for this one.
Did he call himself? I see it, Alaric the Plague Enslin. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Alaric the Plague Enslin. Are we going to have a chat to him? Let's bring him in. Let's speak to our race one winner. Alaric the Plague Enslin is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you get those vaccines. Make sure you wash those hands because the plague is gonna get you. Alaric Enslin, let's talk about race one firstly. Before we talk about race two, let's talk about race one. Man, I have to say that was one of my drives of the season, because you get different drives of the seasons. You get dominant drives like we saw with Troy Dolenchek. You get comeback drives like we've seen with you. And then you get what we saw today, which was a defensive drive, a defensive masterclass under extreme pressure. What was that like? Tell us what was felt like inside the car.
I do think that was one of the most stressful defensive drives that we've done.
It looked it.
Yeah, I mean, I had to change lanes every single turn, defend every single corner for I guess 18 minutes of the race. And the guys kept throwing moves after move. But yeah, just had to defend them all. It was really fun though.
It looked fun. David, what do you rate that? I mean, let's talk about that. And we need to go into detail because I think a lot of people, I think the drivers here that are watching this understand, but people in general don't understand how difficult that actually is.
Yeah, no. I mean, for me, obviously, race one was just a sterling effort and very well deserved as well. We've been singing your praises all season, Alaric, and one of the things that hasn't gone your way has been the luck. You'll qualify well, and then for some reason, 52 cars, it feels like, are drawn immediately to your rear bumper. But there wasn't that sort of issue during race one. But race two seemed to be a return of the old luck. So what happened in that race too?
I had some contact early in the race, and then I'm having some hardware issues with my monitor keeps turning off. So also caught me off guard a couple corners. So I'm gonna have to try and do some troubleshooting and see what's going on exactly. But yeah, just had the bad luck again the second race, but I clawed back to P9, so at least still some points, but obviously not what I wanted.
Yeah, no, and the other thing as well, I was just to round off, we're coming up to the tail end of the season here. What is it that kind of keeps you going? Obviously, there's tons and tons of different championships here. What is it that keeps you coming back to Racing Spirit month after month?
I think it's the racing, definitely. I mean, the racing has been so fun with these guys, and I mean, these cars, the tracks, everything, the production. I love watching the streams back after the races. So yeah, it's just it's a top class championship that it's just fun taking part in.
Well, top class driving from you, Aslan, and thanks for the entertainment. Thanks for putting on a show. I'm blown away by that first race. Your driving there was and so well thought out. Well done, really.
Thank you guys. See you next time. Bye bye.
Well, there you go. See you next time. There's your winner for race 1. And while we're talking to the winner for race 1, let's chat to our winner for race 2. Tiaan van Rooyen joins us now. Tiaan van Rooyen, the winner of race 2. Tiaan, did you really qualify 10? Which position did you start? I'd love to know which position you started and what that charge was like, because you did so well carving through the field.
Yeah, so race 1 I qualified 4th and had a lacquer dice there with Alaric and Besta and a few other guys there as well, but I think I was playing it too safe, so I fell back there in the end with a few small mistakes, trying to not take anyone else out with me. And I think I started 9th or 10th there with that for the second race. Yeah, lap 1 there, just all the right gaps. I found every single gap there that was a car width and I went for it.
I was watching you in Port Elizabeth the other day at the BMW Car Club Championship. Well done. It was fun to watch. Cool to have met you, and also your family, seeing them support you there was really fun. But how have the two championships complemented each other, doing this Racing Spirit MX5 Championship and driving your car at the circuit on weekends? How have those two work together?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing I'd say, the parallel between the two, is just having the right mindset and discipline when you enter the track there. Because in the real car, you have those consequences, and in the sim as well, especially with this championship. You are really encouraged to have that clean, close racing there, and with that right mindset, when you go into these races, then it's always a good show.
It was exactly a good show, and I love what you say about mindset. So much of this sport is mental, and you certainly have the mentality. Well done on that second race. David Christie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Tiaan, obviously you had Dan Kent behind you for a good percentage, a good majority of that race, but when that gap did finally break and it went over about a second and a half, started going up 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that must have been a big weight off of your shoulders.
Yeah, so I knew I had the pace there. As we saw there in race 1 with the close pack there up front, this track, if you are in that draft pack there, you can really stick with other drivers, and even if you're a bit off the pace, you can really put pressure on people. So once you break free of that about second barrier there, you just have to run then.
Well, Tiaan van Rooyen, an impressive second race, and this really, the championship now all of a sudden, the championship becomes a very different landscape with Elric's second race result and your first and second race result. What has been your thoughts on the championship, and are you keeping an eye on those points?
Yeah, so with the racing, because I have been doing it so long, you can't help but like mentally calculate the points. Even while you're in the race, so you can see where people will finish on the positions, and if you know the points and how they work, you can sit there and calculate. So yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Triple Ones Championship, because I'm running 2 championships in the real racing at the same time. It reminds me there where everyone there is like within like 10 points at the top there. So awesome. I've not done the exact math there, but I think it's between me, Alaric, and Besta at the moment. They're in the top 3 there. We're all within a few points there.
Well, then the rest of the season, no doubt, is going to be exceptional. Thanks for joining us in the commentary booth. We'll see you at the next one. Congratulations on the win.
Awesome, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Tiaan. So, last 2 people to chat to. We got Ethan and Scott Sanders.
People's
Scott
champion
Sanders
is here.
The people's champion. The people's champ is here. Scott Sanders, what's it like being so popular, Scott? I wouldn't know. Scott Sanders, you are mute. There we go.
Yeah, it was a good race. It's quite cool being popular. I appreciate the support.
Nice, man. So what was your race like? You had some big names that you were up against all through this championship the last couple of seasons, but specifically last couple of races, but specifically tonight.
Tonight was quite a quiet race. Majority of the time just on my own doing a bit of time trial. But yeah, I had quite a cool, some bit of hectic moments, and it was quite cool to go up against some of these top boys.
Yeah, well done. Crowd favorite, and I can see the racecraft. I can see the times improving. We look forward to seeing you for the rest of the season, Scott Sanders. And thanks for being here. It really helps to have personalities and people that people can relate to as well.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm just starting to put a bit of time into this championship now, and yeah, starting to get used to physics, so thanks.
Nice. Well, there you go, Scott Sanders. One more person to chat to, Ethan Gishen. Please, can you help me pronounce your name properly so that I can get it right?
First name or last name?
Both, please.
So first name is a ton, like a ton of bricks.
Eitan, got you.
And then Gishen is, just Gishen. The C is silent.
Okay, got it. Eitan Gishen, nice to meet you. How have you found this championship so far? And what do you think of the level of driving you've been up against?
Well, majority of this season I've been top of the mid pack, so it's been I've seen from both sides.
Yeah,
it's been some varied driving, I'll say the least. There's been some moments with people who evidently need a little bit more practice, and other moments where you kind of get outskilled.
Yeah. And what is your background exactly when it comes to sim racing? Tell us a bit more about yourself.
So I started sim in 2020, I think, like most people did. I started with the G29, and I just picked up Assetto Corsa and was just having a bit of fun. And
do you really like the BMW E60? Is that your favorite car?
Yes, that is my daily runner.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, E60 530D.
But you gotta love those 530Ds. That engine, what a gem.
It's even better paired with the 6-speed manual.
Nice. So there are not many diesel race cars in the country. Are you gonna be one of the next guys to race a diesel car?
Well, that is the plan eventually. I am Tian's race mechanic. So
Okay. Nice.
Once budget allows for it, I do want to build a diesel BM race car. It would be fun.
Well, we look forward to seeing it. I love real life builds, and nice to finally meet you. And now I can finally get your name right. What a pleasure. Thanks for joining us, and we see you at the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eitan Gishen. How's that, David Christie? I finally got that name right.
That's okay. He told you, and it's like I know immediately at the next race I'm going to absolutely butcher it as well. No, like like you said, this is the bit that I love the most, is getting to chat to the drivers, giving them their little moment to tell us a little bit about them. We want to hear the story. We want to hear more about them, and it's what makes these community championships so enjoyable.
And now we know the connection. Eitan was probably at the race that I must have missed him the other day. He was mechanic and pit mac for our man that won race 2. So clearly some very quick drivers. Tiaan van Rooyen, as I said, winning race 2. And then race 1 winner. What a defensive drive. Totally different strategies between Elric Enselen and Tiaan van Rooyen, David Christie. We've really been spoiled for the type and quality of racing we've seen tonight.
We absolutely have, and it sets us up very, very nicely. And I guess one question I've got to ask you as we're wrapping things up here, Ernest, is, we're about to go on holiday, a whole month off for us, potentially. We're looking to have a little special event in the meantime. But our next round, our penultimate round of the championship, we're off to Zwartkops on October the 14th.
October the 14th, put that in your diaries, folks, because it's going to be a crack of the season, and championship heads towards the finale later in the year. David Christie, I cannot wait to see the updated points, but we heard earlier on some of the calculations have already been made, and some familiar names, of course, bubbling to the top, but it's not over yet. Anything can happen. We've seen that again tonight. So, wow, looking forward to the rest of the championship. What a pleasure. Great racing to watch. David Christie, it's been nice chatting to you tonight.
listen, it's an absolute honour being part of this, and Ernest, you know, being able to do this with you, not blowing smoke here, but it just makes it so much better. You know exactly what it takes to race around these circuits here. You give all the amazing insight on this, and I'm just so excited to get back to it in October.
David Christie, and I enjoy listening to you commentate. So I think this is an awesome... Yeah, I do. It's fun to have a conversation with you about motorsport, and I'm really enjoying watching these drivers develop, and there is some serious talent here, folks. So thank you to everybody that supports this championship. Thanks to all our sponsors and you out there watching, and of course to those incredible drivers we saw tonight. David Christie, thank you for the good times. My name is Ernest Page. We will see you guys at the next round of the MX5 Championship powered by Racing Spirit. Until then, enjoy, be fast, and we'll see you guys at the track.